Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about conditional formatting, what it is and how to use it. So explained simply, conditional formatting is essentially you putting a rule in your data that tells Excel to highlight it based on what you want it. An easy example of this is you can tell Excel to highlight your numbers if it's above 10 or if it's below 3. You can kind of make up any rule that you want and Excel will either highlight it or in the name, condition it in any way that you see fit. I'm going to go through how to do this. It's super simple. You can see here I've got a spreadsheet with a bunch of different food names, how many we sold, the prices and the taxes, and just for the sake of simplicity, I'm probably just going to be focusing on the number sold in this tutorial. So anytime that you want something conditionally formatted, you want to highlight the data that you want Excel to apply the rules to, right? So in this example, let's say that we want to have just the number sold conditionally formatted, or like I said earlier, we only want this data highlighted. After I've got it highlighted, and what I did to do that is you can either drag from B2 all the way down to the bottom of your data, or if you've got longer data, or maybe you're going to keep adding to the column, you can just click B up top or any column name and it will highlight all of the data within the column and even some of the data below or some of the blank spaces below that haven't been filled yet. So I just clicked B. From here on the Home tab, which is where it should default, you can see that there's a little button called Conditional Formatting. And I'm going to click up kind of where the little picture is. And once I click it, you can see all of the different options that came down. Don't let this overwhelm you. This is essentially just Excel saying, these are all the different ways that I can highlight it, or I can, flag it in a different way. So we're going to go from the top and just work the way down. And then in this video, I'm going to show you kind of the overview of what each section means. The first one that you can see here is the highlight cell rules. And if you click into this or if you highlight over it, you can see that even more options appear. And you can see that it says greater than, less than, between, and so on. And what this means is Excel will highlight, for example, in this first one, if it's greater than a value that you specify. So I'm going to actually click this greater than to explain what that means. And here we get a little text box pull up. And you can see that it is saying that it's keeping a classic style, which we can keep it how it is. It's going to format the cells that contain a cell value that's greater than, and then I'm just going to put 50 right here. Okay, so this space right here is where I put the number that I want the cells to be highlighted when it's greater than. And then down here is what I want, or like what color highlighting I want once that parameter is met. So you can see right now it's saying a light red fill with dark red text, and this is just an example of what it will look like. And there's a lot of different options if I click in here and select different ones. But for now, let's just say that if it is greater than 50, we want it to turn green. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And you can see now in my data, every single cell value that is above 50 is highlighted green. Now let's just say that I want to reset here. I've done this and I said, you know what, I actually want it to be 60 or I just don't like it at all. It's super straightforward. You've got two options. The most simple one is to click conditional formatting again. Towards the bottom, you can see that it says clear the rules, and we can either do clear rules from the entire sheet or from the selected cells. So if you click this entire sheet, it's just going to get rid of absolutely anything that's conditionally formatted, and it's going to start you off with a blank slate. Well, let's say that I had two different conditional formatting, one in B and one in D, and I only wanted to get rid of one of them. You also have the option here to clear the rules on just what you've selected. And what that means is if I've highlighted B, it'll get rid of just B because it's highlighted. So I'm just going to click that to show, and it completely clears it. So going back into this highlight cell rules on top, we did greater than, and of course less than, between, and equal to are all pretty similar, pretty straightforward, whereas if you click into it, I can say highlight if it is equal to, 48 or any value. What's a little bit different is I'm going to highlight column A here, go into conditional formatting, the highlight cell rules again, and you do have some other options here that are pretty, pretty obvious based on what they're called, but text that contains is pretty interesting because you can say text that contains ice cream, right? Because it's one of the food items that I did. And I can say hit OK. And then every time that ice cream is in the spreadsheet, it highlights. And again, keep in mind, because I didn't just highlight, 2 through 18, I highlighted all of A when I went into that conditional formatting. I could type in here hamburger, it's not going to highlight. But then when I type in ice cream, because I put the conditional formatting on the entire column, even the space that wasn't filled in, when I type in ice cream, it automatically highlights. And this is probably helpful in a lot of settings for you. If you have an instance where you're entering data in a spreadsheet for work and you want it flagged if, a certain number is entered, or if a certain test doesn't meet the result that you want, you can have Excel automatically highlight or at least, flag these items for you. Moving on to the next section is the top and bottom rules. So this is going to highlight your data the exact same way that the highlight cell rules did, but instead of it being tied to a specific number or a specific value, it's going to do more like mathematical highlighting, I should say. So if I do the top 10 items, what it's going to do, and I'm just going to hit OK, is it's going to highlight the top 10 values, right? So it's not obviously catching 9, it's catching, the ones that are a little bit closer to 100 in this spreadsheet. The other top and bottom rules are kind of self-explanatory, where this is the top 10%, the top, the bottom 10 items, bottom 10%, above average or below average. But one thing that I do want to note is if you say, dang, I really wish that I could do the bottom 15, whenever you click into any of these and you get this dialog box, you've got the option to type whatever you want in here, right? So you could say do the top 5 or top 6 or anything you want. So I've got all of column B highlighted again, and I'm in conditional formatting, same as before, but instead of doing highlight cell rules or top and bottom rules, we're going to go into data bars. And you can see here that instead of like certain words explaining what the rule is, it's all just differently formatted bars. And I'm going to click on any of them because they're all actually the same thing, just different colors. And you can see what happened is Excel looked at all the values that were in this column and it gave it a bar proportional to the value within it. The difference between data bars, like I said earlier, is literally just formatting. So if I were to click green instead, it switches it. Or if I were to click these ones below, it just takes it from like that ombre look to kind of just a standard flat matte. It's definitely helpful for visualizing, what the top of your data is. And keep in mind that it's proportional to the other data, right? So you can see here that 79 is the highest value within this column. So it's got the data bar filling up the entire cell. It's not like it's, proportional to 100, or it's not like a percentage. It literally takes the top item and fills it up the whole way. So I'm going to actually skip color scales really quick because I want to show you icon set, because I feel like icon set is pretty similar to data bars in concept. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm just going to click this, we'll just say this directional one, the top one. And you can see that it's given an arrow based on, I don't know, it kind of looks a little bit random, to be honest with you. So let's just say I've got these arrows and I don't know what they mean. With my data highlighted, I'm going to go into conditional formatting and I'm going to click manage rules on the bottom. And you can see that right here, you can see that I've got the icon set, which we just selected, and this right here is column B that it's applied to. And I'm going to click edit rule. And here you can actually go into it and you can format exactly what you're seeing. So you clicking right here, this green arrow or whatever I choose is appearing on cells that are greater than or equal to 67% of the values that are within the column. And then, yellow is similar but greater or equal to 33, and then red is below 33. And this again is super helpful if you've got data that you want to get a quick visual on, similar to those bar graphs that we did in the last one. Once you're done formatting it, you can click OK. I'm just going to leave it how it is now that I know what it means. And click OK again, and now we've got a good understanding of what every arrow means. The last one that we need to go through for conditional formatting is the color scales. And it's kind of similar in concept to data bars, but I find that it's a little bit more applicable. Again, all of these are the exact same like functional thing. It's just formatted differently. So I'm going to go ahead and select a random one. And you can see here, again, kind of similar to the data bars, it's formatted each cell based on the values. So it looks like I selected the option that has higher values as a whiter cell and then lower values as a more red cell, which is just kind of a cool little way to take a look at the data and be able to kind of visualize what your problem childs are, or in this example, what your top sellers are, right? I can see from a distance that, this ice cream or, this ice cream was some of the highest sellers. So keep in mind that you can, if you want, do different types of conditional formatting in different cells if you feel like you need to. There's really no limit to how many different conditional formatting things you can, apply, and you should just do whatever works best for you on your spreadsheet. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and give the video a like. If you're struggling in Excel on a certain topic, make sure to put it in the comments below and I'll make a video on it. Thanks again.